I'm 51 years old. The average male in America that's white lives to 76 to 77. That's just a stat. And people are like, oh no, people are living to 90. Well, I'm an average. Every business I run is off of averages. Everything I do is off of averages, right?
Yep.
So I got 22 years left. Like, that is not a long time.
Better get
It
busy
is
living. That's just what you said. The average male in the
77?
U.S. between 76, 77, somewhere in there. So I actually put that in the book. My
Think about
age, you know what I mean? Just pick your age out and it tells you how long you got. Well, it sure catches people's attention. This spring I was speaking at a conference with 2,100 people. They all had their book and they opened it up and they circled it. You could hear gasps in the audience. You know what I mean? It was great.
Because people think they live forever. People think they have time.
Yes. That's why we have such consumer debt in this country. We assume we'll always make more money, that it'll always get better. And you know what? We got to be realists and say, why don't we make the most of where we are now? Treat each other like, hey, you know what? This is important. But unfortunately, we are the outliers. So the good thing is that becomes our superpower.
If you're serious about growing your home service business, listen up. Everything we do at Build It to Sell It is built around one mission: helping contractors scale real companies that are actually worth selling one day. Through our masterminds, shop tours, winner's circles, sales training, and the Build It to Sell It conference, we bring owners together to share what's actually working in the field right now. If you want better systems, stronger leadership, and a business that gives you real options one day, click the link in the show notes and get plugged in.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Service Titan, our technology of choice for helping us scale and grow our business and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business so when they want to sell it, they're able to. I have author, speaker, coach Steve Baker here. Today we're going to be talking about the open management book, meaning how you actually invest in your people to grow your business. He actually helps people sell their businesses to private equity firms. He actually helps people sell it to their employees if they want to sell it to strategic buyers. And also he's the author of Quality Time Remaining, where how much time do you have left and what do you do with that time, for so many entrepreneurs that don't really have direction and what the meaning of life's about. So, Steve, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you making time, and let's get right into it. Steve, tell everybody who you are and what you do, my friend.
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks, Lance, for having me. I appreciate it. It's a thrill to be on Exit Rich because that's my plan, right? I think we all want to do that. I guess the way to talk about my story is I've been the vice president of the Great Game of Business for 20 years, as a matter of fact, this month. And prior to that, I worked for a lot of family-owned companies. Never really knew what the goals were of the business. In other words, every time we wanted something in our family, if Joanne got pregnant or if the minivan broke down or someone needed braces, I would go to my boss and say, hey, how do I make more money? Lance, can you guess what every single boss I ever had before I got here told me when I said, how do I make more money?
I'm going to assume the most common answer to that, which is the dumbest answer, is going to be work harder.
Yeah, work harder, sell more. And dude, when
work
you
harder,
live in
sell
Springfield, Missouri, when you're told to sell more, do you know what you do? You don't get on a plane, you get in your car and you drive to Bentonville, Arkansas, 2 hours away. Now, who is in Bentonville?
I never even heard of Bentonville, so you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm from Philadelphia.
It's okay, Walmart and Sam's Club.
Okay.
And who would you think is the worst commercial partner for a small business? Walmart and
I know
Sam's.
for a fact Walmart bankrupts more small businesses than any other partner. I saw that whole documentary, what they do to people, and people still try to get into Walmart. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me.
I booked so much business in Benton County, Arkansas, my brother. I'm telling you, impressive. And yet, when I go back and talk to the owners of those businesses, years and years later, right? They're like, "Yeah, we never made any money on that." And some of them aren't even around anymore. But 20 years ago, I happened to get into a conversation with a guy here at the Great Game of Business, which is part of SRC, the Springfield Remanufacturing Corporation, if you can believe that. There's 11 companies. We're inching up on $1 billion of revenue. 2,000 people, 4.5 million square feet of manufacturing space. And this division that I work with, the Great Game of Business, it's the smallest, and we're the only one out of 11 companies that doesn't make anything. All we do is teach other companies how we built this business and how we run them. So it's been pretty fantastic. It goes back all the way to 1983. It's been time tested and battle proven, but it's a great system for operating a business if you're interested in your people and building value.
I mean, well, who's not interested in their people or building value? I mean, that's almost like, is that like your hook just to punch somebody in the mouth?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. There's lots of
I
great
mean, if
business.
someone says to me, I'm not interested in my people, I'd be like, well, you're probably not going to have a successful business.
Well, that is true. No, I'm not trying to punch anyone in the mouth. I am trying to shake them a little bit, wake them up, because I think you'd be amazed at how often people have a scarcity mindset when it comes to how they interact and treat their people. But in fact, if you are teaching them the business and tying their rewards to the outcomes of the business, all of a sudden you get aligned. It's not management versus ops or sales versus the floor or whatever. It is constantly going to be, hey, we're headed toward the same direction. We can actually build value not only in our business but also our people. And it's our belief that this is probably the most freeing uh, leadership development program there is, because the smarter your people are, the better decisions they make, and that drives value. So it's a little bit unorthodox
Yes,
for a lot
let's
of
talk about
folks.
that. So people hire you to coach them to help build their business. I'm assuming that you guys are doing first thing of, hey, are you giving equity to you and your employees? And maybe I'm wrong. Hey, do you have some type of equity program? Do you have a training program?
Mhm.
Because there are things that have been successful in all my businesses. So I'm just kind of curious to,
I
can you
love
tell me,
that.
do you mind like going through like some five key things in your playbook that you've seen have impacted businesses the most?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'll make it three. Um,
Okay.
if you could imagine taking three simple elements of a game. You have to understand the rules of the game or who's going to play. You got to follow the action and keep score because we behave differently when we keep score. And finally, what's in it for me? A stake in the outcome. Now, picture those three things. Let's say they're each three of them a circle and they interconnect in a Venn diagram. At the center of it is what we would call the critical number. In other words, we're going to teach the critical number. How do we make money and generate cash? How do we increase profit? Whatever your critical number is for that year, then we're going to hold each other accountable and follow the action and keep score. And finally, you get a piece of the action in the form of a self funding bonus program. I love the fact that you led with give people equity. Dude, I am an employee owner. We're a 100% employee owned company here at SRC. And, I have been absolutely transformed by this process in the last 20 years. I've built so much value in my own personal balance sheet because I happen to work for a company that is an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan.
Correct.
That is incredible.
Can
Now,
you explain to everybody what an e-stop is, though? Can you? Because a lot of people
I
don't know
can.
that, and
Sure.
I don't talk about it much on my show because I know e-stops can get banking funding from the banks just like everyone else.
Sure.
But can you talk about it, and then we'll talk about if you wanted to make your company e-stop, how you go about it. But I think it's important people know what that is.
I'll touch on it and then I'm going to flip the funnel on this whole thing because I think sometimes people assume that if I throw equity at my people, they're going to care or even understand it. And the biggest portion of what the great game of business is about is teaching people those kinds of things. That why don't we teach them to think and act like an owner before we make them an owner, is the way I would look at it. Let's teach them business first. An ESOP for our listeners out there today is an employee stock ownership program. It's one of many ways that you can share broad-based employee ownership. It works by selling your business to an ESOP trust. Now, this is something you do with professionals in the in investment banks and that sort of thing. We've got a lot of folks that we work with. And if you're interested in any form of employee ownership, I would highly recommend that you check out the National Center for Employee Ownership. It's nceo.org. They're a clearinghouse of all the information, not just ESOPs. But there's a ton of creative ways to do this, and they're a great place to start. Not for profit, the whole thing. Anyway, an ESOP is governed by ERISA, the same body of law that covers pension plans. And so it's basically got to be handled correctly. There is a cost to it, and there is administration that has to happen. The beauty of it is that I don't have to put in anything at all. These shares are being contributed to my account every year based on the performance of the business. And it's really something, but you have to teach it. Ownership must be taught. And you know this if you've given equity to your employees. Lance, can you remember anybody going, cool, can I just get a raise instead? Have you ever had that?
Um, I'll be honest with you, most people don't come to me for raises because they have equity and they understand when we sell companies is when we make our money and our bonuses. So like
Love
I
it.
can't remember the last time someone's coming to me for a raise, besides like maybe a video person or
Okay.
content person that has a different structure, right? It's just a different they have a different business structure, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, which they gotta come for raises, right? I mean, they're
Well,
not getting paid
you're
the same.
no one's ever said this to you, Lance, on your own podcast, but you're a weirdo because here's the deal. In the United States, there are about 7,000 companies that share broad-based employee ownership. That means you are one in 1,000, Lance. That's how weird you really are. I think it's amazing. And I think that most people who own businesses miss the opportunity to make folks a more important part of the business, which drives their own internal motivation. So,
I
I
mean, the
meant that
biggest
with
thing
love,
I
right?
did was give people equity. No, I get it. The biggest thing I did, and most of my wealth has been gathered. I'm 51 years old. 80% of my wealth has been gathered in the last 4 years
Oh, dude,
to
I
five.
love it.
I just want you to just think about that. 51 years of age, probably 75, 80% of my true wealth, meaning the big chunks of money, has all come in the last 4 years, right? And I'm man
Yeah,
enough to admit that, right? And I've done very well. I say to everyone, I'm a 0.001 percenter, whatever that number is, like just and but it's because I gave equity. I truly believe. But the better I learned to treat people, the more money I made. The better I learned to treat my employees, the more money I made. The better I learned to treat everyone around me, the more money I made. Like that's just a fact.
I
And
love it.
I had that scarcity mindset when I was younger of, oh, this is all my pie. It's all my pie. Now I'm like, Jesus, Lord, there's so much for everyone.
There is. There truly
And
is.
I just said to a guy I was on the phone today with in a meeting, a Google Meet, and he's one of my partners down in, I don't want to say what area, but I said, man, I said, you can't have that mindset, man. I said, you got to have the mindset, I'm rich and there's tons out there for me, not of what's next for me. Like,
Yeah.
I never, like, my mind doesn't work that way. And
No, I love that.
I think when you give your I think a lot of employers and a lot of business owners think, you'll hear people say, my husband built the business,
Hmm.
which, I'm heavily in the contracting space, obviously. And I just laugh. I'm like, your husband didn't build a business. His people built the business.
That's
His
so
people
good.
built the
How do we
business.
not know each other already? This is a new friendship happening, folks, right here live on the Exit Rich podcast. I love it, man, because I'm telling you, the average business owner out there is struggling to really understand a lot about the business themselves. Now, I know that that's a big blanket statement. So let me qualify it and say this. Most people who work for other people are wondering how they can do better themselves. And in the US, as well as around the world, the one thing that separates us all is financial literacy. As Dave Ramsey says, he goes, money flows from people who don't understand it to people who do. And I want my people to be the people who do. I want my kids to be the people who do, and my friends. The thing is, you're coming at this with, I think, exactly the right mindset is why don't we think abundantly? Why don't we work through others, have them build value? We work strategically, right? That's the way it should be. But every day and every week, I'm telling you, I'm out on the road every single week speaking at conferences and different business meetings, that sort of thing. And it is amazing how tight people want to be with all this knowledge and power. And when they start to let go, what is powerful really to me is when they start to see those results rolling in. It's like, wait a minute, how come they didn't behave like that before? They didn't have
Well,
a
it
piece
makes you wonder. I can tell you this, I just had this conversation over the weekend, you know, and I think why poor people stay poor and why people don't continue to grow their businesses and they make a decent living is they don't invest. Like Rich people invest in their network. Rich people invest in masterminds, networks, conferences, meeting new people. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. Financial literacy is a big piece of it. But speaking of financial literacy, before we get to the whole networking thing, is um, you'll see people go work 40 hours, 50 hours a week and kill themselves and get their paycheck on Friday. And then they go out to, you know, the biggest seafood lavish dinner and post it on social media. And they're broke by Monday or Tuesday. Right.
Yes.
And I used to be one of those guys. I
Yeah.
used to be one of those guys 20, 30 years ago. Truthfully, I was that guy. Now I didn't post on social media because it was around them. But the point being is, but then you realize, man, like rich people don't do that shit.
No.
Rich people,
No.
they hold on to their money. They invest their money. They do normal things, and then all of a sudden you have this wealth, and then you can go buy watches and whatever else you want to invest in if that's what you want to do. But until you get there, you really got to be financially responsible, and so many people just aren't
And
in
that is
America.
part of financial literacy, right? Business and financial acumen comes from learning that stuff and understanding, oh my gosh, there's going to be a tomorrow, so I probably ought to plan for it. But that is not in the zeitgeist, it's not what everybody sees on TV and Instagram, right? It's always somebody's driving a Lamborghini and they're wearing a, like you said, a big chunky watch, whatever. And then you find out later those people are bankrupt and they had leased the Lambo and it's being repoed, that sort of thing.
Well, we see that all the time. I feel like the biggest thing that, and being that you have a coaching group, you said you have a conference. I'm assuming you're going and bringing people into your coaching group, having masterminds, they're networking together, they're talking,
Absolutely.
they're doing sales, marketing. Can you talk about that? People don't understand. Those people that come into that our masterminds, their businesses wind up growing. They have their best months, their mindset. Can you talk about like being that you do have a coaching group and so many people
Yeah.
just don't ever jump on a plane and spend 2, 3 days together, 4 days together with other people they don't know. Can you talk about that and why it's so
Yeah.
important?
Well, not only do we have our own coaching, training, and events organizations, but um, I spend a lot of my time as a guest speaker at other ones. You might have heard of Vistage, YPO, EO,
I know, yeah, absolutely.
Business Owners International, Inc. 5000. I mean, just start naming some things. In fact, this weekend I was at one down in Florida, and it was very small businesses, and it was almost like someone had pulled the curtain back, right, on business. They're like, well, wait a minute, I've been carrying this load myself. What, you mean you can have other people help you with this stuff? I'm like, oh my gosh, how come I haven't met you before? So my mission, my personal mission is to transform as many business owners' lives by transforming their people's lives as possible because Lance, it totally changed my life. I went from being really smart and creative and innovative and all that stuff, great problem solver, but I never got a chance to look behind the curtain.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Service Titan, our technology of choice for helping us scale and grow our business and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business so when they want to sell it, they're able to.
Are you tired of being in a job where you're just going through the motions, doing things that you don't care about? Do you want to work for one of the fastest growing tech companies in home services? My name is Bernie Olilla. I'm the VP of Sales at Titan Pro Technologies, and I love working for this company. So we're a Service Titan Titanium partner, which means we are directly affiliated with Service Titan. And the people here at Titan Pro Technologies aren't just pushing paper or typing keyboards and putting in data all day. You're doing real work to help people grow and scale their businesses. It's a 5-star experience at Titan Pro Technologies for both the customers and the team. The employees here get everything from benefits to a 401k. We travel to service our customers. So there's a lot of opportunity here for growth. And the compensation is more than fair, and there are lots of opportunities for advancement. We pay commissions for sales. We pay commissions for upsales. We pay rewards for people who get reviews. So there's plenty of opportunity to earn money here and do the best you can for you and your family. So if you're a winner, you know Service Titan, you're familiar with the trades, this is the place for you.
So I never knew what the goal was, never knew whether we were doing good or bad, didn't know if we were winning or losing, all because the folks that I worked for didn't have the courage to tell me what they were really after. Instead, it was work more, sell more, work harder, work smarter. It was very vague. if that makes sense. And in other words, I made the wrong decisions many times because I had no idea.
What do you think most people are after? Most entrepreneurs. What do you think they're after?
I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
could you repeat the
you
question?
deal with entrepreneurs all day. What do you think most entrepreneurs truly want? Like, what's gonna make entrepreneurs happy?
Well, I tell you what, I kind of class them in a couple different strata. I think there's a lot of folks who want, like, let's take you. You're somebody who's won, right? You've won and you like that feeling. And now you go, oh, I can help others and do that, right? I just put you at the top of the strata, meaning you're abundant minded. Most entrepreneurs are not in that strata. They are usually like they're barely hanging on and they need help. They're doing really great in spite of themselves and they don't know what to do next. The latest strata that I've seen, oh my gosh, Lance, we've got a $27 trillion transfer of wealth happening in the next 10 years. That is huge opportunity for people. But right now, I've got so many folks that are just like, well, I'm 65 and my kids don't want it and I don't know what to do next. There's so many options, but they're
I know
not.
what to do next. Call Lance Bachmann, baby. Let's
Oh, call me.
go. Call
Exactly.
me. Call
Call
me. I
me.
know what to do
Dude, I
next.
know. Exactly. So I'm encouraging them to go, first of all, do you belong to one of these peer groups? Do you have a mastermind? Who are you talking to that's not giving you all the best practices so you can pick what you like? But my approach to it is pretty straightforward. I think most entrepreneurs want freedom, whether it's go freedom to go do another new idea that they're after. I have a feeling you're a serial entrepreneur. So you're always looking for the next deal, next thing, right? Bing, bing, bing. And a lot of folks are
100%.
just out there going, hey, man, it's been working so far. Maybe it worked for my dad or, whatever. But most of them I see really could use another voice because they're all feeling alone. And you
Let's
don't have
talk
to do
about
this alone.
freedom. You said that most entrepreneurs want freedom. I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 20 years out on my own, right? Never missed a payroll, health insurance.
Love that.
I've never had a Christmas off. I never had Easter off. My wife's birthday, my kids' birthdays.
Mm,
I remember my son Hammer being born at like 9 in the morning, and by 10 o'clock that morning, I was on a Zoom call, on a sales call, closing someone. Like I don't remember. Like I don't understand the word freedom. Like everyone says to me, entrepreneurs have. Now, granted, I've sold 6 companies for hundreds of millions of dollars now, and I have, I guess, financial freedom. You could say, like, you know, when I want to go with my wife, I go with my wife. My wife doesn't have to worry about buying anything on her credit card, or she
yeah.
has no financial stress. But I mean, freedom. I don't have freedom. I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I have hundreds of people that work for me around the country. When my phone rings, I got the only freedom I get is I can go coach my kids from 6 to 8 every night, and people tend not to bother me. Right? They give me the respect to that. But outside of that, I'm just lost, Steve. Like I think so many people go into business thinking they have freedom, and honestly, being a business owner and entrepreneur is the biggest handcuffs on your freedom you could ever have. Can you
That's
can
why
you
I think
relate?
they want it because they figured out they've built their perfect prison, right? And the fact is, most of them love it, right? It gives them energy, it gives them life, it gives them a definition to their identity. What I'm saying is, I think that the people I talk to, when they're not around all their friends, they talk about just what you did, which is, man, I don't even know what happened. How did I get estranged from this family member or this situation, or I just would like to have some peace to work on myself. All I'm saying is you have to design that. In other words,
Oh, without a doubt. Listen, I don't. But I would tend to argue with all these people that don't hang out with the same friends they used to, you probably wouldn't be sitting where you are if you did hang out with those people.
correct.
I mean, I'd make that argument. That's not being rude. Like, I know what's funny is a lot of my old friends take shots at me. They talk bad about me, and they take these pop shots at me, right? Because I don't come around. They don't understand. They weren't the problem. I
Right.
was the problem. I wanted something different, and I couldn't go get what I want doing the things they were doing. It was impossible. Like, and it doesn't
Correct.
make it bad. They were some of the funnest people, some of the best people I ever were around. It
Yep.
just I couldn't go here and be there. Like it's
Yeah.
impossible. And I
Agreed.
think that's what most people don't understand. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's why people start getting depressed. They don't have some peace because they
Yeah.
don't realize that part, and people haven't gone through it to be able to explain it to them.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I love how you just put that because I would agree with you. There are precious few people that I would hang around with now that I used to hang out with. And it goes back to what my grandfather and your grandfather probably said. You know, you're known by the company you keep. Well, the underlying message there isn't just about did I used to hang out with degenerates? I don't know. I don't know if I'd call them that. But the thing is, a lot of those folks weren't going anywhere. They were trying to figure out where the next buzz was, the next concert, the next whatever. And as you get a little bit older, I knew I wanted something different, just like you, right? It's like there's got to be something different. I was hungry to know. And so as I learned about business, what I figured out was it was actually a tool to get what you want. And then further, another higher level was okay, I love the people I get to hang out with. I am learning every single day. You want to be engaged in life, learn every day. That's a huge one. I have been more grateful in my life because of the blessings that business has bestowed upon me. Not that that doesn't come without work. What I'm currently working on is, Lance, look, I don't know, there's not a good way to lay this out, but recently I just found out I have stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. This is my
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry to
third
hear that.
time with it. Well, and I'm not asking for pity. What I'm saying is, you have a choice, right? There's a good example of a choice. You can be a victim and say, well, my boss is a jerk and they won't let me in, they won't give me equity, whatever, whatever. Or you can be, you know, a champion. You can be proactive and say, well, what do I need to do? Maybe I need to learn a little bit more. Maybe I need to go back to school, or let me start at the bottom and work my way up. The reason I told you about cancer is because it's not my first time. This is my third time. And it would be very easy to fall back into the, oh man, what the hell? Nope, not me, man. I'm like, this is great. So what I'm trying to do now is it just reminds me that there is only so much time. And I am absolutely thrilled to be spending more time with my wife. My kids are adults now. They're starting their lives, and it's fascinating how much they've learned from me by example, not by mouth. Does that make sense? How I live my life, how I read, how I, that kind of stuff.
So you got the book Quality Time Remaining,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I actually thought you were and we're going to jump into the book here, that you were a gentleman I saw TikTok or Reel on, where he actually had, I think I was telling you, one tape was over here of how much life he lived. And every day he just did, and he did it for like 7, 8 years. And he just showed how time shifts, right? And
Yes.
how much time was left, right? And, I always say this, I'm 51 years old. The average male in America that's white lives to 76 to 77. That's just a stat. And people are like, oh, no, people are living to 90. Well, I'm an average. Every business I run is off of averages. Everything I do is off of averages, right?
Yep.
So I got 22 years left. Like, that is not a long time.
Better get
It
busy
is not.
living.
I know, but if you really think about it, it's not a long time.
It's not.
Well, I mean, I do believe I live the best life I want to live now, right? Like, my whole life is around building my businesses and being with my children and my wife. Like, that's all I do. Like, and I'm with some friends here and there,
Sure.
but I have a different opinion of, friendship. I believe hang out with the people that matter and don't worry about the big crowd, because the big crowd doesn't really give a shit about you anyway. And then when you understand that part, life gets a lot more simpler.
It's a
Um,
superpower.
it really is. It's been my biggest superpower.
Yeah.
My wife gets upset, when people make these comments on social media, because she'll go to the comment section. I never do. I'm like, why do you give a shit? What the fuck the peasants think? She's like, what? I'm like, what? And I hate to call them peasants, but like, I'm like, do you think the king ever worried about what the jester thought?
Nope.
Like, ever?
That's
And like,
right.
and she's like, man, like, how can you just go? I'm like, because people look to take shots. That's all people want to do. They want to, you know, there's a saying on my arm, and I love this saying. The cowards will cheer and rejoice when the hero falls. Right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's so true. Like,
Oh, that's so good.
pe- people want you to fail. Like, they hate success. They hate winners. And when you got, your life that you're living right now, it's amazing that, what you're going through. And I pray for you and your family through stage
Thank
4
you.
cancer. Everyone should read your book, because you don't have much time. And can you talk about the quality of time remaining and what made you write that book, and,
I will.
just
Yeah.
your thoughts on it all?
Absolutely. So, being in business, is one thing. Being around folks who would embrace the great game of business is a whole different thing because it ain't for everybody, right? And so you've got to have a certain mindset. You've got to be abundant minded. You've got to be thinking about your people. All the things that you exhibit, Lance, you seem like a guy that would get a lot out of this. You know this. A lot of people, the majority of people don't want to do it. When you started talking about how people want to take shots, you reminded me of a word I learned a number of years ago, schadenfreude. It means taking pleasure in someone else's suffering. And you know
Oh
these
yeah,
people, right? They hang out at bars. Well,
oh,
that
yeah, they just wait for it.
yeah, exactly. And then there's another word that hardly no one knows, which is Mitfreude, taking joy in the success of someone else. Just that simple mind shift from going from I'm going to take a pot shot to man, good for Lance. Look at him go. It's a whole shift. So quality time remaining came about because my first bout with cancer was in 2018, and I didn't know what to do with it because I've been healthy my whole life, very lucky guy, and so I'm processing. I'm going through the surgery and the radiation, all the stuff, and my my middle kid, I got three great kids. My middle one is my daughter, and she was engaged to now they're married to an actuary. Now imagine this. I've got an actuary in the family. I'm like, dude, tell me when I'm going to die. He thought it was a joke. And I just kept after him until he finally gave me a table. And he goes, well, this is what the data says. And I didn't like it at all. So I wrote a damn book about it. It's like, hold
What
on.
did the data say? What age?
Was just what you said. The average male in the US
77.
between 76, 77, somewhere in there. So I actually put that in the book. I actually said, hey, listen, Will, the actuary, that's what we call him. I said, why don't you give me a chart where I can just look at
He's
my
thinking about that.
age? You know what I mean? Just pick your age out and it tells you how long you got. Well, it sure catches people's attention. This spring, I was speaking at a conference with 2,100 people. They all had their book and they opened it up and they circled it. You could hear gasps in the audience. You know what I mean? It was great
Because
because
people think they live forever. People
people
think they
think,
have
yes,
time.
that's why we have
Dude,
such consumer debt in this country. We assume we'll always make more money, that it'll always get better. And you know what? We got to be realists and say, why don't we make the most of where we are now? Treat each other like, hey, you know what? This is important. But unfortunately, we are the outliers. So the good thing is that becomes our superpower. So in essence, what it is I wrote Quality Time Remaining as a very hands-on kind of blueprint to create your 90-day plan to improve your life. And so maybe it's any one of the facets of life, spiritual, financial, professional, physical, even mindset, right? And it gives you clear explanations and tools to actually build that thing out. And then you can kind of check in on yourself and say, am I moving in the right direction or am I moving in the wrong direction? And it's been really not just therapeutic for me, but it's been very impactful for people. And I keep getting, like this morning, I was looking at my calendar. I'm already booked up through the middle of next year. That is awesome because that means people want to hear the message. And I think business is just, as I said before, a tool to get the things that you want out of life. And it's a choice to make that a really positive impact on the people who work with and for you.
I always say to everyone around me, you got 8 to 10 hours a day you're going to work for the rest of your life. What you do in that and how much value you add to people is going to be how much money you make. The more value you add, the more money you're going to make. The less value you add, the less money you're going to make. But I agree with you. You know, final question. If people want to get a hold of you for your coaching group or have you speak, how would they get a hold of you? I do appreciate you being here.
No, it's
Steve,
my
what would
pleasure.
you, how do they get
Yeah.
a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can check out greatgame.com for Great Game of Business. And what I would do is I would also consider doing this greatgame.com/Steve. And that actually will take you to the original audiobook that I produced with Jack Stack, the original author, and it'll also lead you into our world. The different tools. There's tons of free content and usable material there. It's a great way to get introduced to me and my team, and of course all of us here at SRC and the community worldwide we've built over the last 40 years. So very cool.
Steve, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much, brother. I look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck with cancer. All right, God bless you.
I appreciate it.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to give a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Service Titan, our technology of choice for helping us scale and grow our business and making sure all of our viewers have the technology to scale their business so when they want to sell it, they're able to.